We're here with Ruby Powers from Powers Law Group. Thank you, Ruby, so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Raquel.
So what happened in your business that caused you to need Stafi services?
I've been wanting to explore having virtual assistants for the last year or so, and I was having a hard time finding the right people for the right seats. And so, I tried something different, and that was the reason why I decided to go ahead and try Stafi Services.
What were the problems that you were having because of it?
I have 3 assets, I believe we call it, with Stafi. So I have an intake specialist, a marketing assistant, and an executive assistant. So we needed help making sure we could do all the postings on our social media, keeping up with our newsletter, translating it in Spanish. It was taking a lot of time from our backup staff who were working on that, and we were trying to fill that role. We also needed help preparing to do webinars over LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and so when we found the marketing assistant with Stafi. They've been with us a few months already, and they've been able to help us meet all those needs. And because we normally had made that position part-time, but now since it's full-time, they're able to do a lot more things in the marketing space and alleviate the backup, and we've been able to grow. So that's the marketing assistant. The intake specialist started not too long ago, but in just the last few weeks or so, we've been able to see a lot of room for growth. We can tell that the phone is being answered and the consultations are getting booked. And before that, we had to have a lot of our other staff sort of cobble together and answer the phones, and with our backup receptionist service. But by having somebody in-house, if you will, we are able to train them as to what our needs are specifically. They get to know our procedures and our staff. They're doing splendidly, actually. She's originally an attorney in Honduras, and we're looking to train her even further on being able to do more screening on a legal level, preparing the consultation for the attorneys. The executive assistant role has recently started, but in just the little time we've had with her, we can see just that she seems awesome and great, and I think it's going to be a great relationship. Stafi presented us with options, and we often don't have to interview that many people before we hire, and they're very quick as to onboarding. And before we know it, we have a new team member working with us. My firm is 13 years old, and from when I first started it, I did have an answering service, and I started realizing a lot of what the answering service did was just playing phone tag. You basically would take a message, and then you would keep on playing phone tag. And if you weren't empowered to screen, to be able to give a lot of information and to schedule the consultation, then you eventually had to call them back anyway. Over time, we went ahead and just got our own in-house receptionist. And then the phone was ringing a lot. We needed more than just one person, and we needed one and plus. So not too long ago, we hired a receptionist service that just does reception services. And what I liked about it was we could send the calls there as needed, and we could connect them to some of our scheduling. But the limitation there is that you don't know who you're going to get, and if that person's been trained and knows much about your own business. And so in a way, I'm sure they're friendly. Sometimes they're bilingual, and they can take a number and information, but because they're not an integral part of your team, and they haven't been trained as to what your firm needs specifically, there are a lot of limitations. So I think that it's a great opportunity for some people, in my law practice management space, who need coverage for phones. But if you can, I think going the little bit extra mile and having a full-time intake specialist receptionist who's trained for your specific firm, connected to all your databases, able to communicate with your staff, and is trained on converting the call into a consult, more so than just taking a message, is so critical. Because then if you don't get that call converted, then you are going to play phone tag and you might lose them. And I think what we've seen in some recent statistics, just for example, ClioCon was not too long ago, and the Clio Legal Trends report, I mean, a lot of that information is that if people don't get a call or received by somebody right away, they're going to move on to someone else. And so you shouldn't be relying on a voicemail. No one trusts that they're ever going to get a call back from a voicemail. But definitely, if you're playing phone tag, you might lose a day or two in scheduling. And in fact, in that whole process, you might lose the whole client altogether. So we're trying to have more in-house staff answering the phones and only rely on external reception only as needed for some of those stopgap time. But for the most part, I prefer having somebody in-house who knows our systems, knows how to schedule us, and sort of can help answer and put the potential client's mind at ease.
How did you find Stafi?
I'd been searching for virtual assistant options for a while, and I was putting together a webinar for a Power Strategy group about virtual assistant options, and an attorney recommended, and they had been talking about how they would use Stafi for their hiring needs. And I, after interviewing them in the webinar, that they were a guest, I went ahead and decided to try them out myself.
And why did you choose to work with Stafi? Why were we the best option for you?
I liked the fact that Stafi did background checks and had a long list of training, and I could just tell from the different ways in that when I had all of the companies sort of together, it seemed as if Stafi had a polished procedure. And having written a book about law practice management and having had my own business for 13 years, I know that it's complicated to find the right person, put them through background checks, personality assessments, training assessments, and to make sure that you have the right person. You could try to call, anybody could answer a phone, you might try to call them a receptionist, but are they the right fit for your company? That's a whole nother story. And in fact, a lot of times we waste so much time searching for the right person. And so just from listening to them and what they do to find their team, and also all the resources, like in fact, I've learned more about what they do as I hire them, that they have a psychologist, an English person helping them, that they do a lot of check-ins. They have like a person in charge of happiness. There's a lot of things that I didn't even realize on my first hire that I found out because my office manager was onboarding that contractor that I later found out. And as I work closer with them, I get more and more impressed.
What results did you and are you getting from us?
Having an executive assistant, virtual assistant, I know that I save at least a few hours a day by having an EA on staff. When I didn't have one, I was down for like a week, it was a bit of a mess, and I was apologizing, and there was a lot of conflict, scheduling mistakes. So I know that when I really can't live without an EA, and in fact, I think I need to. For the marketing assistant, being able to just have our social media constantly updated and monitoring all the changes that are happening in immigration, it's essential. And in fact, we have to make sure we keep that at a minimum, if not more. And because our marketing assistant is full-time, we're able to have them do more projects in terms of follow-up and data collection as to where our clients are coming from, and the following up further so that we don't lose anyone. And in terms of our intake specialist, I can tell when we have a great intake specialist receptionist in the right spot, because we have more consultations filled every day, and we lose less of them to just playing phone tag and leaving voicemails or leaving messages with our receptionist service. So we've been able to, in just the short time since the intake specialist has started, we've been able to see an uptick in the consultations being booked, And we're also going to start training on screening so that we can shorten the consultation time that the attorney spends in the consultation.
Can you tell us about what the value that Stafi has provided and is providing you through the marketing specialist, the intake client specialist, and the executive assistant?
Tremendous. The peace of mind knowing that I have a strong EA in the role is now giving me that peace knowing that I can accomplish all of the projects and goals that I have, and because I have the support I need. The intake specialist making sure to capture all the calls that we've worked so hard to get the phone to ring and know that we're not losing them just because we don't have the right person answering. Being able to see my calendar full with consultations brings me joy and knows that I will be able to successfully keep all of the operation running. The marketing, knowing that we're constantly out there posting, we're creating great content, and in bilingual content, and being out there as a resource for our community. It just helps know that when my leadership team and I need to have a meeting, we can actually have high level working on the business, not in the business conversations, because we have the right people in the right seats helping support the business. And so that gives me that peace of mind, and knowing that I can go and represent my clients, represent my community, and be with my family, and just continue to do the things that I love doing.